Greetings on the Reign of Horror. It's been a while since I made a video, ever since WrestleMania Authority, but just recently I watched a new movie. So if any of you care to hear what I have to say, if anyone's even watching this, I just saw Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 last night, but it's recent enough that I remember it. So, I went into this movie with very low expectations, for a couple of reasons. One, I saw that Mary Jane was announced for this movie, and I'm not too big of a fan of Mary Jane, honestly. And I also saw that they advertised that there were going to be 3 villains. They put the most focus on Electro, but they put focus on the fact that they were going to include Rhino and the Green Goblin. 3 villains in one movie. When was the last time they did that? Oh yes! Spider-Man 3. A movie that a lot of people hate. I personally thought it was okay, but a lot of people hated Spider-Man 3. I didn't, but hey, that could spell the recipe for disaster. And with those kind of villains, it looked weird. So I went into it, and at first I thought the movie was going to suck bigger than I expected, just because the opening scene. We see a flashback to Spider-Man's parents. We see them at a plane. They get attacked by an assassin, and the fight scene is wow. Shaky cam, lights flickering, everything, and oh good grief, it looked terrible. It honestly kind of looked like the fight scenes from Batman Begins. And if you've seen those are terrible. That's one of the reasons I don't like that movie. They're honestly terrible. Then we move on to Spider-Man. And at first, I wasn't really too happy with the Spider-Man scenes either. Because we see a lot of moments where they decide to go 3D! And I was watching the 2D version. So that felt kind of weird to watch that, and kind of out of place. But as for the actual scene, it was actually pretty well done. Spider-Man had a very snarky or fun-loving personality. He had a lot of fun with what he was doing, and I thought that he handled the situation pretty well. It was a fun scene. And then we get... Where should I go? Oh, one thing. For those of you who haven't seen Spider-Man 2 or The Amazing Spider-Man 2 or The Amazing Spider-Man 1, for that matter, I would like to put a little spoiler warning here. So if you want to go see it without any knowledge, I suggest stopping the video right here. Then again, if you're watching my thoughts on the movie, they're probably going to be a little bit spoiler heavy. If you want my thoughts without spoilers, I actually kind of liked it. I know it's a little bit early to say that after having talked about the movie already, but I mean a little late since I've already talked about the movie. But hey, yep. Anyway, we get to the graduation scene. By the way, the Stan Lee cameo, surprisingly came that early, but it was actually not too badly done. But I see Peter come in for his graduation, and then it almost looks like he's back together with Gwen Stacy. Even though at the end of the first movie, we see Spider-Man promise Gwen's dying father in his last breath that he will keep Gwen out of it. Even though, and now we see that they're back together. And then all of a sudden they reference that scene, and all of a sudden Peter breaks it with her again. Why? Exactly? What the hell? I don't get it. But And the mood kind of changes then, and we get a little bit more sad here. And I know some people might disagree with me, but I felt there was a lot more, too much focus on Gwen and Spider-Man. Did anyone else notice that? A little bit too much focus on their relationship. I mean, I kind of get it considering what happened at the end, but I felt it was a little bit too much. Anyway, how about we talk about two things that were really focused? Let's talk about the villains a little bit. First of all, I gotta say one thing about Rhino. What was the point of even advertising him? I mean, I could understand if that was a last minute thing and then you added him just kind of last minute. But you announced him before you announced the Osborns. So, what the hell? I mean, you have Rhino in the beginning of the movie as the truck driver that Spider-Man chases. And then you have him come in at the last second in the Rhino suit to fight Spider-Man. Last scene in the movie, they're starting to fight. Don't really get the point of that. Next, we have Electro, the one that was focused on the most, the one who was supposed to be the main villain of the movie. I thought that was an interesting way of doing it, of having him in the movie. I mean, he starts out as this engineer that gets rescued by Spider-Man, and then goes all fanboy over him because he rescued him when nobody else really notices him at all, and he decides to rescue him. Talks to him and all that. And next, he turns into Electro, and finally gets a lot of attention from people because he's been ignored all this time. Then Spider-Man fights him, and all of a sudden all the focus is on him because he saves people. And then Electro turns on him and uses his power to fight. Also, did anyone else kind of think that when Electro is in the first fight of the movie, and he goes around with the hoodie and everything and just uses lightning powers, did anyone else think unlimited power? I'm an Emperor fan, so maybe that's just it. Then there's the Osborns, more specifically Harry, because they decide to kill off Norman Osborn, and I was really surprised by that because I thought for sure that they were gonna have Norman Osborn fight Spider-Man in this, but apparently they just kill him off and give Harry the role as the Green Goblin. I know they had a whole movie, but previously focusing on the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin. Sorry about that, but yeah, that was actually a little surprising. But honestly, Harry did such a good job that I was honestly kind of forgetting. Though there was one thing about Harry I didn't like. And it's a really minor thing. The hair. It just combed over in such a way that it just distracted me a bit because it looks pretty bad. It kind of reminded me of something else also. I don't remember what it is. But the actor himself, unbelievably great. It was absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it that Harry did such a good job. And I gotta say, I was really really not disappointed with the Green Goblin. It was done pretty well. Now Harry's mostly Harry throughout the entire movie. He doesn't become the Green Goblin until the end, but he was actually done pretty well. But I also need to talk about the ending a little bit. I've already given you the spoiler warning, so this is your last chance. What can I say about the ending? Well, basically this. It's very surprising, but also kind of... But also, if you know about the comics, it's kind of interesting. Anyway, Gwen Stacy is about to to Oxford to study there, and Spider-Man picks her up to reconnect with her, get back together with her, and then move to England with her. However, they're standing on top of the bridge when they're doing this, and I just remembered, wait a minute, this is the same spot that's where Spider-Man and the Green Goblin fought, and this scene happened after Harry turned into the Green Goblin, put the suit on and everything. And this was the scene where Spider-Man and Green Goblin fought, and it ended with Gwen Stacy dying. Are they gonna kill Gwen Stacy in this movie? But then Electro attacks the power plant, and they moved on to the power plant, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe not. So they have the fight scene with Electro. It's done pretty well, and I did like the little bit of a musical touch with the power plant towers. But there is something I'm really iffy about. And that is that Electro was killed. You made this guy who you can kind of sympathize with, since he's being ignored all his life and just gets wrongly done all his life. And you just decide to kill him out of the blue. No pun intended, but... yeah, it's kind of weird. I just didn't feel like that was necessary. You could have subdued him or something, and kind of have him join Harry's crew at the end, which is a crew that he's making up at the end. But, yeah. I kind of thought that was kind of enough. Really what we should have done. And then after Electro's defeated, Green Goblin shows up. And he kidnaps Gwen Stacy. I'm thinking, oh good, oh great. Are they actually gonna do it? They move on to a clock tower. Spider-Man and Green Goblin fight a bit, and Gwen gets caught up in it. Spider-Man gives her a web so that she can hold on to it, hanging above the hanging in the clock tower. They fight a bit. The web breaks at the end. She falls, and Spider-Man sends down a web. Like, are they gonna do it? Are they actually gonna do it? And the web catches her. But she does hit the ground. I'm thinking, did they just do it? Did they? Because she's hanging above. Spider-Man goes down to her, holds her in his arm, tries to wake her up, and then I see the nosebleed. Like, oh. They actually had the balls to do it. They killed her off in the second movie. After all those scenes with them, it made... I'm stunned how amazing that was. They did that absolutely great. No, not absolutely great, because it could have been done better like in the comics, but... And I don't even read comics, but I remember that scene, and that was perfectly well done. And it really is something that they should have added in the movie. If anyone wants to fight that scene, I'm gonna fight you till I draw. But I thought that was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, to have Gwen Stacy die that early, because it all made things come together. And now, unless they decide to because I did not see Mary Jane anywhere, unless you count that redhead I saw it when Electro first attacked. So maybe we could go to the next movie without any romance. Would that be so bad? Anyway, because I kind of want to focus on the other thing that happened. That is, at the end of the movie, Harry meets up with the man in shadows and decides the shadows from the end credits scene in the last movie. By the way, I sat through all of the credits. The first time in my life, I sat through all the credits, because the other scenes I've either found on DVD or on YouTube. I sat through this credit scene to see if there was an ending scene. And what did I get? A commercial for X-Men Days of Future Past. I was so damn angry, because I usually don't sit through the credits, but it was the one time I wanted to, because I wanted to see that end credits scene. And what did I get? Nothing! They lied to me. I was so damn angry after that. So I left the movie with a sour taste in my mouth, but that was kind of my fault, though. And kind of the movie industry, because really putting an end credit scene, yeah, it's a special thing for you, but I really wish there was something I could have done for you. Something that could have been done there. Anywho, but yeah. Also, the introduction of Harry. But back to the introduction of Harry's, Harry's whatever you want to call it. It's interesting. That's how they introduce Rhino. But I can see I actually see a suit in that that has wings, which kind of makes me think: are they going to use the Vulture in the next movie? Because there were a few subtle hints to a few characters in it. The man who tells Electro when he smacks Dylan to stay behind and fix the tank that eventually turns into Electro. His name is Smite, as in Alistair Smite. If you don't remember him, if you remember the very old Spider-Man cartoon, which has not aged well, you might remember him as the guy in the wheelchair that worked for the Kingpin. And then there was oh yeah, there's a girl on the Oscorp grounds that works for that whose name is Felicia. What name pops into your mind when you hear the name Felicia and Spider-Man? Felicia Hardy, aka Black Cat. So a few more subtle hints there. So we have two subtle hints of new characters: Alistair Smite and Felicia Hardy. And with that wing scene, the Vulture. So there could potentially be something going on there in the next movie, because I'm pretty sure that they're planning another one. And that's going to be something about Harry's new league. So maybe they'll get Rhino back, maybe they'll get in the Vulture. Harry's probably going to be in it. If those characters were just one-offs that didn't really matter, well, that was kind of a waste. But I mean, Alistair Smythe I can get, but Felicia Hardy, she had a pretty, she had a little bit of an involved role in here. So overall, I want to say that the hints are interesting to say the least. Would I want the Vulture in the next movie? Maybe. Personally, I'm still waiting for a Carnage movie, but I know that's probably not going to happen unless they introduce Venom. But it's just, Carnage is my favorite Spider-Man villain. Bring him in! I mean, my brother is hoping for Kingpin, but I'm still hoping for Carnage. He's my favorite Spider-Man villain. Anyway, you might say whatever you want about this movie, but I personally like it. I believe a lot of people are gonna hate it. I know I've seen a few people hating on it already, and I've heard a few critics say that it was too much of things in this movie, but I liked it, honestly. I thought it was fun. Alright, that's all for me. Next time you see a video from me is probably going to be when I watch another movie in the summer. Godzilla.